Hello, I'm live on YouTube and Facebook. Okay, I'm all organized now. Oops. Just waiting for people to turn up. I'm not usually here at this time. It's Sunday night, almost 7 o'clock Sunday night. Okay, so we'll see who turns up. Hello. Just waiting for everyone to turn up. While we're waiting for people to turn up, I'd love to know where you're from. I'm here in Vancouver. And where are you from? Oh, you got the same name as me, Lisa. Jen. Okay. I might go close a window just a sec. It's getting kind of noisy here. Okay, I'm back. Nebraska. Hi, Nebraska. Bianca, you've been here before. Bianca. LaBelle. Oops. Hope you didn't lose me there. Anyway, I'm kind of sleepy tonight. But I thought, no, I'm going to come on here and do a live. I haven't been on here. I haven't been doing lives on weekends very often lately. I've just been, doing other things. Anyway, so I thought, no, Sunday night, I'll get on here and do a live. Grammy from Indiana. Is Grammy means you're a grandmother? Is that? I'm a grandmother. Grammy from Indiana. I don't know what I'll be called. She's only 8 months old, so she can call me whatever she wants. Okay, so let's get going with your questions. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you're new, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. If you go on the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses. I have 2 of them now, one for toddlers, one for older kids, or you can look into coaching. I was going to say I have a wait list, but I think I got through it all pretty much because a lot of people buy the course instead of coaching too. So, I think I got through it today. I don't know. Splendora, Texas. Never heard of that before. So, Karen, you are a grandmother too. Yeah. It's fun, isn't it? Okay. This is from Brooke. I have a 13-year-old boy. He panicked when we had to get his throat swabbed. How do I help him be comfortable with it? I treated it like a tantrum, but I'm second. Oh, no, I wouldn't treat that like a tantrum. No. I don't know. Because if you have a fear of something, like a fear of getting a shot or something, I have never come up with anything that works because you can promise them the world and say, if you just let it happen, you just sit still and you let it happen, I'll take you to Disneyland. In that moment, they can't control it. If it truly is just fear-based, yeah. Sorry about that. I don't have a good answer for that. You can bribe as much as you want, but if it's fear, like a phobia, and they're just terrified of it, not much you can do. You ever had an MRI before, been shot into that noisy tube? I've had several of them. And I remember once, a few years ago, I was having one. And there was a woman in there ahead of me. She was like, took forever. She kept panicking. And you could hear her. They kept saying, lie still. You're going to damage the machine. I guess she was fighting to get the thing. Now, you could have bribed her $1 million. It wouldn't have made any difference. She would have kept going through the same trauma. But it was quite annoying because I'm so I just laid there. So I thought just such a shame I didn't go ahead of her. Anyway, so yeah, it's a fear. I can't help you with that. The only thing that you could do, whenever you have a phobia or a fear or anything like that, it's exposure therapy is what you do. So if you could have him try and swab his own throat, like at home first with something safe, like sort of get him used to that and say, look, it's not so bad. Do yours in front of him. I don't know. Okay. I'm just waiting for more questions here. I'm sorry. I'm tired tonight. My eyes also. I was rubbing my eyes. The hay fever hits me in different ways. Sometimes I sneeze. Sometimes I get dry eyes. This time it's dry eyes. So just waiting for questions. I know I'm here at a really weird time. Okay, this is from Rebecca on YouTube. What should I do if my 3-year-old loses screen time early in the day for refusing chore consequence but misbehaves if you yeah. Okay, so if they have the 24-hour media blackout and they keep committing the same crime, they're already in the throes of being disciplined, so you don't add on to it. What I would say is, well, that's why you've got 24-hour media blackout. I would only say that a couple of times. You're just going to have to suffer through it and just go like that. Well, oh well, not much you can do. But yeah, you don't double up. There's no point. Can you give me some examples of consequences that fit a 5-year-old girl that is very strong-willed? The consequence really doesn't matter. It's just a chore. And don't get caught up in what the consequence is. It's the fact that they do something naughty, then they do a good deed. So they don't have to hate it, but you hope they don't love it. Like if they love cleaning, which I do, I probably wouldn't have them clean. But there are certain things I don't like cleaning. Like I don't like cleaning ovens. So I'm not saying you'd get a 5-year-old to clean an oven, but there's always something that is like a windowsill. They don't usually like cleaning windowsills. So yeah, don't worry about what the consequence is. It's more about the consistency of doing a good deed when you do something naughty or you break a rule. There is no magic consequence. That everyone focuses on that. What's the consequence? Because as if you just get that, nail it, you get the perfect consequence and the behavior all sorts itself out. It really doesn't have anything to do with it. Well, it does, but what it is doesn't have anything to do with it. It's the consistency. You say to remove the fun from the toddler or them from the fun, but what is the difference between that and timeout? Because you're with them. Timeout is they go somewhere else. When you remove them from the fun, you take them with you. That's the difference. And you're not discussing it. Don't discuss bad behavior. It's a total waste of time. You're just discussing the weather, whatever. They could be kicking and screaming, then you're ignoring them. But yeah, timeout is away from you. It's seclusion, it's isolation, it's cruel, it's mean, it's humiliating. But yeah, you're taking them with you. And you don't discuss bad behavior. There's no point whatsoever. Just say, no, I get it, and then move on. You deal with bad behavior, but then you focus on the good kid and move on. Our 7, 6, and 4-year-olds fight bedtime, have a hard time settling down, stop talking. Okay, so check out my course. I do have a course on that. It's called Bedtime Battles, and it goes from 2 to 8 years old. It's one of my mini courses, and it is, there's 2 parts, how to get them in bed, then how to keep them there. Every so often, someone will say that those mini courses don't have enough information in them. They all started about 4 times the size that they are. I took out everything you don't need on that specific subject. So they are meant to be really easy to read, really digestible. And I don't like to throw a whole bunch of extra stuff in there. So yeah, it's the bedtime one. Actually, no one said that about that. I think it's the tantrum one. Is it? Yeah, this is tantrum one. People want more information about tantrums. They want a huge course on tantrums as if that's going to make any difference at all. Nope. Yeah, I don't like to waste words. Okay. 6 and 9-year-old are constantly arguing. There's a million different things to do with that. There's just so many different ways I could go with that. But basically, when you're a leader, your kids don't fight. It's just the way it is. Because they feel you know how to take care of business. There's no reason to fight. They're fighting, sibling rivalry, etc. It's usually based on a feeling of injustice. When you're a leader, they don't feel that there's injustices in the house. Okay, so work on your leadership skills. You might want to check out my boot camp course for 3 to 12-year-olds. Your leadership it's everything. It really is. It's not a great way. Dealing with sibling rivalry is not a great way. It's not a great way to get respect and set up your leadership. You want to work on your leadership with other things, and then the fighting sort of takes care of itself. It's like the second to last thing to go. There are things you can do for sure, but it's like the second last thing to go. The last thing to go when you set up your leadership, because I don't fix kids here, I'm teaching parents. The last thing to go is attitude, but the second to last thing to go is when your kids are fighting. And also, if you've got kids who are at war, they're fighting all the time, never do one-on-one time with them. It builds resentment. Yeah, you play with them, you spend time with them, and you're teaching them how to get along. Yeah, I do get involved. Yes, I do. Baby girl's 13 and a half months old. What kind of signs will tell me she's ready for me to ignore her tantrums instead of redirecting? About 15, 16 months is when I sort of pull away from that. And you just let them sort of have their tantrum. But until then, and I do indirect redirection. So like I would, I don't say, here, let's do this. I would just walk away, sit down nearby, and open up her favorite book and start to read it out loud to myself. So you're not asking her to come over. The idea is that when you're, oh, and look at this, and the fox went over there, and it's like that. And then hopefully she'll come over. That's how you redirect a tantrum. But you only do that with like 15 months and under with babies. I don't do that with toddlers. Unless they're really in another zone, or if they've got some special needs or something, then I would continue redirecting. But it's indirect redirecting. Not, look over here, come, I want to read you a book. You know, it's not like that. Breaking my 2-year-old of smiling just before he's naughty, then runs over and cutely says, sorry. So frustrating. He knows he's doing something he shouldn't, and God love me walks all over me with that sorry. Yeah, the word sorry means nothing to me. Where's the consequence? So in other words, you can go out and you can be a serial killer. You just keep killing. Sorry, sorry, sorry. The word sorry is so overused. Yeah, I never really taught that to my kids. If they did something naughty, I'd have a consequence. The word sorry is kind of, it's very, doesn't mean much to me. A lot of people say sorry, but they just keep doing the same thing over and over again, which is what he's doing. He's learning that I can do whatever I want. As long as I say sorry, I'll get away with it. You see, you've taught him. That's a get out of jail free card. Yeah, have a consequence. So remove him from the fun or the fun from him. That's the consequence, because you use consistent corrective actions under the age of 3. How to gentle parent manipulative tantrums? I don't do that. I'm not a gentle parenting person at all. Yeah, you're on the wrong page here. That's not me. So tantrums at 5, I do ignore them, and then she finally comes around. Do you punish that? Or you never punish a consequence. You never punish a tantrum. A tantrum is not bad behavior. A tantrum is a loss of emotional control at not getting what they want, when they want, how they want it. So at 5 years old, if they're still having tantrums, you got some work to do on yourself. It's all about you and your leadership. They generally stop having tantrums by about 3.5 to 4 years old when you're a leader. They just peter out because they realize there's no point. So work on yourself. That if they're still having tantrums past the age of about 4, you got to work on your leadership skills. It's a tell. So yeah, and a tantrum is not bad behavior. Now, people keep asking me this, and I don't know why. One green eye and one blue. No, they're both light green. They're kind of bloodshot. I've been rubbing my eyes with hay fever today. Yeah, no, I get asked that a lot. No, they're both the same color. I don't know why that is. Must be the camera here. Okay. Okay, check out my Bedtime Battles course if you're struggling with bedtime. And if you have 2 kids in the same room, the one that you're struggling with, keep in that room, but pull the other one out of that room and have them sleep somewhere else while you're training the other one. So it's my mini course. It's called Bedtime Battles. It's also included in both. Bedtime Battles is included in both of my big boot camp courses, the toddler one and the older kid one. But yeah. Love your take on ignoring tantrums and then rewarding the calm. It seems like my 4-year-old's tantrums goes for a long, sorry, it says see more, but I can't click, won't let me click. For a long time. When I acknowledge the calm, it seems to spin him into another tantrum. Oh, you're not waiting long enough. Yeah, he's finished, and then you say something, and you go, oh, I gotcha. Now I'm going to have another tantrum. Yeah, yeah, you're just not waiting long enough. Do your children parent the way you did? Well, I've only got one grandchild, and she's only 8 months old. I think my son will be giving in a lot. His girlfriend, I think she'll be the leader. And but I think because he knows she is, I think he's sort of going to be the one, the spoiler, more like that. I think they both agreed that's what's going to happen. I can see it. And my daughter, I'm pretty sure, will be more like me. and her husband. I think they're both more like me because he's a teacher, and he knows how to handle kids. So I got to skip ahead to make sure people are still here when I answer their questions. So I'm blinking a lot. I've got dry eye with hay fever. God, I'm a mess tonight. Oh, well. I was actually going to read a book tonight, but I can't because my eyes are too dry. It's from Keora from New Zealand. Appreciate your words and courses. Oh, thanks for your support. We used to ski in New Zealand because we lived in Australia. And down in Queenstown, geez, that's a gorgeous, gorgeous little town. If you're ever in New Zealand, go to Queenstown. It's down the South Island. And if you ski, that's where you go to ski, is down that area. Oh my God, it was so beautiful. Just picturesque. My 6-year-old, almost 7, stomps his feet, then starts crying. Okay, that's a tell. That means it must work. It must annoy you, or else he wouldn't do it. They only do what works past the age of 4. If having tantrums, stomping their feet, they're still doing it, it means it must work. It has to, because they only do what works past the age of 4. So yeah, check out my boot camp course. That might be a good fit for you. And goes into how to be a leader. Remember, we're never fixing kids here. We're fixing and teaching parents. Okay, we basically have no screens at home, and my son Emily on YouTube. And my 8-year-old daughter doesn't have any toys or things she attached that would make her upset if we took away. Any suggestions for deprivation consequence? Okay, there's 2 consequences for kids on the behavior board. The first one is a positive action. The second one is negative deprivation. You take something away. If they won't do the first one, you'd always rather them do something positive when they're naughty. Like, okay, you broke a rule, now do something to make it up. But if they won't do that, then you resort to the negative deprivation. Usually it's 24-hour media blackout or take away a favorite toy. So Emily's saying they haven't got anything like that. So what you do in that case, never start with this. That's why I don't like to talk about it a lot, but you invent leverage. You say, I'll tell you what, we were planning on going out for donuts tonight, but now we're not because you didn't do such and such. So you're inventing leverage. You were never going to go out for donuts. And if she says, if I'm good, can I go out tomorrow night? And say, no, I said it was a treat. If you can't tell us when we're going to do it, it was going to be a surprise. It was going to be a treat. If you ask for it, we won't go. I always told my kids, if you ever ask for anything, that's me feeling a demand. That's not a treat. So they never asked for anything. And every so often we'd be at the checkout at the supermarket and they never once ever asked for anything. And every so often I'd say, oh, go for it. And they'd be all excited. That's a treat. If they ask and whine and complain, oh God, that's me feeling a demand. So yeah. But yeah, you invent leverage. You say, okay, well, you didn't want to do the chore. That's fine. We were going to surprise you and go out for donuts tonight or whatever. Something that she would like. Say, but now we're not going to. So that was your choice because you didn't do the chore. I'll do it now. It's too late. It's too late. Once you've said that, you have to make it happen. And then let the storm happen. The storm is then processing your new leadership. That is good stuff. We got to shake things up to get the results, right? Everyone wants to avoid the storm. That's where the lessons are. The lessons are in the tantrums, the storms. When you start exercising your new leadership, they're going to have a fit. And yeah, that's what you want. Okay. Yeah, this one is an age-old question. What do you do when a baby cries when they want to be with you all the time? I would get in the playpen and play with them for a little bit and then look distracted and say, oh, I'm going to go do that or something and get up. Just do it shorter periods of time. Let them cry for a few minutes if you have to go and do stuff. We were lucky actually with both our kids. I completely childproofed the whole house, so we didn't need playpens. The only reason I used a playpen was I put the Christmas tree in the playpen so they couldn't get in it. But yeah, I was very rare. I think we only used it. It was like one of those sort of soft-sided, not a big playpen. We used it as an extra bed if we took them out somewhere or something. But yeah, I just completely childproofed the whole house. So they did always have access to me, except in the sewing room. I made all their clothes and we had a separate sewing room. And I used to put the gate up, and my son couldn't get in, and he would just stand there and bring all of his toys and play like through the bars, sort of play. And I was right there. I was like 1 foot away, and he would sort of play happily. Whereas my daughter didn't do that. She did not like that gate between us. And she was a very sweet little thing, like easiest kid in the world. She never cried or anything, but she would just hold onto the gate and look like that, just stare at me with a big frown on her face. So finally, I just let her in the sewing room, and she just played at my feet. So yeah, they do want to be with you a lot. And yeah, I'm just suggesting, is it possible that maybe you could childproof your home and let her crawl around and find you? My granddaughter is 8 months old. She's just starting to crawl. Their life will never be the same. Once they find mobility, they never go back. They never go, yeah, I'm tired of having mobility. I think I'll stop doing it. My favorite ladies. Thanks, Tabitha. That's sweet. Okay. My kids are so demanding. I'm always telling them no, and that's always the worst. They are 10 and 8. Why are you always saying no? If they're asking for something that they shouldn't have, I would just go, like, why are you feeding it? Check out my boot camp course. That might be a good fit for you. It's all about you and your leadership. Remember, we're never fixing kids, we're fixing and teaching parents here. That boot camp course goes for 5 weeks, and it's a whole process, how you get respect, because you're setting yourself up as a leader. You give respect to get it. Sorry, my voice is kind of going. I've had hay fever. Okay. Oh, I don't ignore kids throwing. How to handle a 2.5-year-old throwing hard items like Hot Wheels at people? Is that something you ignore, like a tantrum? No, a tantrum is a loss of emotional control at not getting their own way. Throwing something at people is not a loss of emotional control. But if they're doing it during a tantrum, I still would take it away. Anytime they get violent or aggressive, I deal with that. So I would just put if they start throwing them, I would put them all away. I'd leave them away for the whole day. You do not want someone being belted in an eyeball with a Hot Wheel toy. Yeah, I would not ignore that. Okay, I'm 0% a leader. And your lives have made me realize that. Is the boot camp course helpful for me to learn how to be a leader, or is it just too late and I have to accept this defeat? It's never too late. Yeah, the boot camp courses might be a good fit for you. It goes the one you probably want, well, I mean, there's 2 of them, but the one that really teaches leadership is the 3 to 12-year-old one. Toddlers, you're more just managing their chaos. You're managing their lunacy. So it's a little bit different. It's laid out very differently too. The 3 to 12-year-old, that's when you're at the height of your leadership. And teenagers right now is just coaching. I will one day come out with a course, but we've been working on our podcast like crazy. So the course has taken a back seat. The podcast is going to be released on the 24th of September. That's the day my daughter said that she's going to release it. So we're excited about that. Why did I bring that up right now? Why was I talking about that? Boot camp course. Oh, the teenage stuff. Oh, that's why I'm going to teen course. So I've got hay fever. I'm just a mess today. Anyway, what was I going to say? Yeah, the boot camp. It's 5 weeks. It's all paced out according to, generally. If you're really struggling, if you're in the red zone and going through horrible stuff, the course is still good reference material, but you might need coaching. If it's just normal parenting stuff, like they don't respect you and, they're giving you sass and all that stuff, the course should be a good fit for you. Huh? Oh, right. Okay. Sorry. Love listening to and learning. That reminds me, years and years ago, I appreciate your support. Years and years ago, I used to teach aerobics, and I was in Australia, and someone said to me one day, they said, oh, I could just listen to you 24/7 because of my accent, right? Over there, I had an accent. So I said, yeah, that's what my family says all the time. They could just listen to me 24/7. It just struck me as funny. It's just they loved my accent. Okay. Play gates are to keep dogs out rather than her in. Thank you. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's just a tough time because they do want you all the time when they're babies. And I'm kind of meet their needs and meet their wants when they're babies, but you can't always do that, right? You got to get stuff done. was funny. I remember when my kids, they were really good at entertaining themselves, right? Because I played hard with them often. And then I'd say, okay, scram, mom's going to go and do something. And they were very respectful. I swear, I used to be really quiet when I'd have to go to the bathroom or want to have a shower, because they'd always be right in there like dirty shirts. It was unbelievable. I could never, it was like they just had this radar. Oh, mom's going to the bathroom. They were just right in there with me. I could never have just a quiet shower and just whatever. Right in there. They always, you know why they do that? Because you're trapped. You can't get away. So once you're sitting down or standing in the shower, they've got you. So that's why they're falling in the bathroom. Okay. I've been implementing a lot of your ideas and parenting advice. I have a much better 15-month-old baby. Thanks so much. You're very welcome. Okay, I'm going to move over to, I'm starting to lose my voice here. I'm going to move over to Instagram now if you want to join me over there. And I'm on YouTube the whole time. YouTube is my smallest platform, so it's probably the best place to get your questions answered, because I have to scroll through dozens of them everywhere else. But on YouTube, I usually can see them all. Doesn't mean I answer them all, because I like to mix up the ages and the questions. So anyway, thanks so much for joining me. Check out the link above. You can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses. I have 2 of them now, the toddler and the older one. Or you can look into coaching. The wait list is really small right now. So it's really small right now. So got a better chance of getting into coaching than you've had for months, because I usually have a really big wait list because everyone's busy. They're all back at school. So anyway, okay, thanks so much for joining me. I'm moving over to Instagram now. Okay, let me see now. YouTube. The storm is where I need to ignore. It just gets me with the crying and the noises. That's your challenge. It's sort of like when you go to a diet center and they tell you what to do, and then you say, but how do I do it? That is your challenge. And I get this all the time in coaching. Yeah, easier said than done, Lisa. How do I stay calm when the kids are screaming and fighting? And I say, that is your challenge. But it's temporary, okay? Once you've got their respect, all that stuff takes care of itself. But that is a challenge for sure. Okay, good question, Emily. You got some good questions here. Are you in the boot camp course? It's just because you seem to know a lot about what I teach. Is deprivation consequence given if they get more than a few consequences in a day? Would a made-up treat that they're not getting apply to that situation? Yeah. So let's say that their rule is no hitting, and they hit, and then they do a chore. Then an hour later they hit, they do another chore. By the third one, I'd probably say, I'll tell you what, this time, and I would go to the second one at that point about the third one. You got to put down the age if you have a question. By the way, welcome to the live. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses. I have 2 of them now, one for toddlers, one for older kids. And you can look into coaching. Anyway, I'm almost at 500,000 here on Instagram. You're catching up to TikTok. TikTok's 720 something thousand. So yeah, you're catching up. I've only been on Instagram for less than a year now, I think. So yeah, just thanks so much for that support. I can't believe it. I can't fathom that number of people. It's just mind blowing. I do appreciate your support though. I don't take it for granted. That's, you know what, especially because now I've got like 1.5 million followers online now. And it's just this, I feel like I owe you. How do I put that? If you're taking the time to watch me, I feel like I should be on here providing something for you. Do you know what I mean? Like I do. I feel like I owe, when you've got that many followers, I feel the duty to provide stuff for free. You know, that's why I do these lives. I happen to love doing it too. So works out great. How do you handle bad daughter-in-law parenting? That's none of your business. And I'll tell you why. Don't ever insult your daughter-in-law or your kids for how they parent, ever. If you want her to hate you, you can tell her what to do. It's none of my business how my daughter-in-law parents. I am totally supportive. I never give her any advice. She's wonderful. And I just want her to feel good. And yeah. Sorry, but I'm very adamant about that. Unless they ask for advice, I never give unsolicited advice in my personal life. So yeah, stay out of it. You want her to feel bad? Then you can get involved, but otherwise stay out of it. What if it's bad? You mean if it's abuse? Well, then that would be coaching. You'd have to hire me. And no, you can't hire me for that. She would have to hire me. I only teach parenting. And I hear this a lot. You know what bothers me? You know why I get mad at this? Because you know how many of my clients cry because their mother-in-law is insulting their parenting? And I get very protective of my clients when I'm coaching. And I would never do that to my daughter-in-law. You know, like even if you don't like what they're doing, by the way, I love what she's doing. She's phenomenal. But even if they do something you don't like or whatever, why on earth would I say anything? It's none of my damn business. Why would I do that? Why would I do that? None of my business. But yeah, a lot of my clients cry because they got these mother-in-laws who are telling them what to do, or their mothers are telling or insulting them. Oh, I hate timeout. So yeah, never do timeout. It's useless. It's just mean. Oh, I don't let people on my videos in my lives. I only did it once. Huge mistake. What can I do about 5-year-olds not wanting to eat vegetables? I'm always between a rock and a hard place here because I know what I did with my own kids, but I'm not a nutritionist or a doctor or anything, so I can't really give you advice. But I will tell you what I did with my kids. Probably won't like it anyway. But what I did was, I'm kind of a health food nut anyway. And when my kids were growing up, there was no treats in the house, like none. It was very rare. Like at Easter, they would have some chocolate and stuff like that. But overall, we never had stuff in the house. So, and I made everything from scratch, or most of it, especially when they were little. I made everything from scratch. So they didn't have a choice. They were never holding out for ice cream or anything because we didn't have any. And we did have cookies and cake and all that, but I made it. And believe me, it was not like something you'd buy in the store. I remember once my son, the very first time he ever had pizza outside of the house, he said, Mom, he was like little, Mommy, the sauce was really weird. It was red. My sauce was brown because it had pureed spinach in it. I could hide healthy stuff in anything. So yeah, they were eating lots of vegetables. They just didn't know it. There was vegetables in all my muffins, all my cakes, all my everything. So yeah, it's amazing what you can hide in bread and muffins and then then their taste buds get attuned to that. So they do eat fruit, vegetables and stuff, right? Eight-year-olds saying huge emotional things when upset. Generally, if you're a leader, it regulates their emotions. It happens organically. So work on your leadership skills. Unless they have some challenges or there's some trauma going on in their life, they tend to calm down when they have a leader. They feel taken care of. They feel safe. That's what leadership does for kids. So, okay, I'm going to look at YouTube now because I always tell people go on YouTube because it's my smallest platform and then I forget to look over there. Go on YouTube, I'll answer all your questions and I never even look at it. Oh, God, I'm dopey sometimes. Okay. Oh my God, this is so funny, Kathy. I love this. It's funny. That's from Kathy Parks on YouTube. Been working on this style for the last couple of months. My 12-year-old son asks where I'm learning this stuff from and he wants the old mom back. I feel like I'm in the middle of the storm. That's great. Well, is there something in it for him too? You're on there too. There's rules for you too. So he should feel like there's some, mutual respect going on there. That's very cute. I like that. 7-year-old runs to another. Oh God, Jessica, have I ever got a good answer for you? It's on YouTube. 7-year-old runs to another room and upset. Do you recommend following them and waiting it out or let them go on their own? You want my honest opinion? I'd go, ooh, good riddance. I wouldn't say it, but I'd be thinking, yippee, I can read a book or something. Unless it's something that they're traumatized, but if they're just mad, oh, there's no way I would follow them. Not in a million years. I go, ooh, yippee, they left. Oh, kids are great. What was it? A kid said, oh God, I can't wrap my head around this. I get it all mixed up every time I try and talk about it, but oh, never mind. I know I'm going to mess it up. Never mind. But it just came up twice in the last day, over the weekend. And it was something about the parents' consequences, how kids never take offense to the fact that playing with them is your consequence. But well, obviously I'm talking about it. But I've said not one kid has ever been upset and hurt because their parents' consequence is playing with them. They're just so thrilled that you're playing hide and seek. They don't care that it's your consequence. But a kid sort of twisted it around a little bit. My daughter actually she answers a lot of most of the emails, right, that come in. And so she said, and we don't answer parenting questions on there. But anyway, it was quite interesting the way it was worded. Was this kid was upset because the parents' consequence was a fun thing. They didn't realize that playing hide and seek with them was not fun for the parents. They said, how come you get to have fun with your consequence, but the parent didn't have the heart to tell them, you think this is fun for me? Oh, God, that struck me as so funny. What do you say to that? Yeah, that's a tough one. How can you answer that one honestly without hurting their feelings at that point? I thought that was great. Good question. How should you respond if your mother-in-law does comment, though? I know exactly what you say. You say, when you give me parenting advice, it hurts my feelings. What can she say to that? In other words, if she keeps going, she's exposing herself as a you-know-what, right? How on earth can anyone argue with that? So if she keeps commenting, then you just go, right? You backed her into a corner with that one. Throw it. I always say, if someone's snarky or whatever, throw it right back at them. Say, oh, well, that hurt my feelings. What can they say to that? I'm pretty good at handling people. I'm 63. I've learned over the years. I don't have anyone in my life that's snarky or any nasty people in my life anymore. I've culled them all. I like to enjoy life. How to handle a runner in public places. There's 4 things that kids are either going to do or they're never going to do. It's in their DNA. One is tantrums, one is climbing, one is being aggressive, hurting other people, and the other one is running. Running and climbing often go together. Not always, though. They're the more like they don't have any safety. They're not cautious, put it that way. So what I would say, hey, no running away from me anymore. And you're going to put a harness on them before you go out. I don't care how stupid it is, whatever. They will learn. It usually only takes one outing. And then you say, if you start running, you're going to be clipped in. And you have to keep them clipped in on that leash for the rest of that outing. If you have to go somewhere important, don't do it then. Do it when you're going somewhere it doesn't really matter, right? So, yeah. There's a few things like that. It's just usually one thing. Okay, so you got a 14-month-old screaming in public. Is this an anger? So you're grocery shopping and they're screaming. It's embarrassing. So is this an anger or just screaming? What I would do is if I've got a tot that's just starting to, you know how they just find their voice and they just start screaming because it gets attention? I would pick up a cereal box or something and start reading it. Oh, let me see now, that and that and that. And I would look distracted. I wouldn't give it any attention. If it gets that bad, leave, but don't give it any attention. This is from Jessica. Thank you. I appreciate your advice. It's done wonders for our home. That's why I'm on here. I mean, there's no money in doing lives. I just love when I hear these lives are helping people. So, you know, my business, I'm in the caring field. So, yeah, just knowing that you're helping people. That's why I'm here. I love that. So I appreciate you telling me that. Oh, I have a family home. It's all family living in. Okay, so you have multi-generational or whatever extended family living in the house. Only the parents and the kids are on there. Um, yeah, just parents. I'm teaching you leadership with all this. We don't want to teach that to other people. Once your children are under your leadership and because it makes them feel good about themselves, right? Leaders make kids feel good. So then they become that person with everybody else. So yeah, don't have anyone else on there. It gets too complicated and yeah, it just doesn't work. Been getting messages and videos. My daughter-in-law and my granddaughter, she's 8 months old. She just started becoming mobile, and you can hear it in my daughter-in-law's voice, like, oh, how nice. Like life as you know it is so different once they're mobile. Oh boy, I remember that. What would you do about a friend's child? Absolutely nothing. It's none of my business. I've never given any advice in my personal life with parenting. Nope. That's their kid. What do your children do now? They're grown. Did your parenting approach? Yeah, they're both extremely hard workers. They're really good people. My son's 34. He's a dad now. He does very well in his job. He's got a very nice partner. And I'm very lucky. I get along with all of them. Like sometimes not everyone does, right? The old mother-in-law, but yeah, she's lovely. I'm very lucky. And my daughter's 29. She's married. No kids yet, and she's my business partner. We're doing a podcast together. She's behind the scenes. She does all the social media marketing and the planning. So if something's happening in my business, in our business, she's actually a partner. If something's happening, she's planned it out. I just do whatever she tells me to do. I hate being in charge. I hate it. And she loves it. So it works out perfectly. And yeah, we're doing a podcast together. We've already done 8 episodes. They're already in the can. That's what you call it. And they're going to be released. We're going to start releasing the podcast. I think 3 of them in one go on the 24th of September. So next week is when she's planning on releasing them. So we're very excited about that. But yeah, she works with me. I'll tell you how that happened. It's quite interesting, actually. It'll probably come up in the podcast down the road, more about why we work together. She had a corporate job and which she was really enjoying. And she saw I blew up on TikTok like fast. I was quite overwhelmed. And she said, yeah, but Mom, you got to get on Instagram and Facebook too. About a year ago. This is actually a year ago, September, this month. And she said, I'll tell you what. She goes, she had a really busy job, but she goes, I'm just going to help you out. So she just spent like an hour a night or whatever, getting me on and just started, helping me out behind the scenes. She goes, I'll just get you set up and then you can hire someone else to do it. Well, with her behind the scenes, it just blew up overnight. It was overwhelming. And then I think in January, we started realizing that, she was just helping me out, but I realized I was starting to pay her and then she realized that she would have to make it full time. And that's how we're working together now. And but yeah, it's been phenomenal. So it's been 2 months now. And yeah, both my kids are super hard workers, like too much so, I think, like my daughter is so driven, it's unbelievable. And so is my son. And I think a lot of that is because I taught them self-discipline growing up. And what's interesting is we're very different. I wasn't as good at that. Self-discipline. And if you were to have me and my 2 kids sitting all together and we put a cookie in front of us and you said to us, you can have 1 cookie now, but if you wait a half an hour, you can have 2. My kids guaranteed would both sit back like this at any age. They would have sat 3 and above, let's say 3 and above, probably even 2. Sit back. This would be me. And then I'd have to watch them eat 2 cookies a half hour later. So they both have really good self-control and self-discipline. And I think I gave that to them. I know I did. Because I always taught them, you've got to do what you need to do before you can do what you want to do. So they never asked me to do anything unless their chores and their homework was done. They just knew it was no big deal. I never told them to do anything. They just literally would get everything done. Then they'd say, oh, can we go in the pool? We finished our homework. And I said, sure. So yeah, it was like that. But they're both really, really hard workers. They're good people. Okay. Yeah, in my personal life, I'm a follower. I'm not a leader at all. I hate it. I don't want to know where I'm going. I don't want to know what I have to wear. You tell me what to wear, where we're going, what I'm going to eat when I get there. I have no interest. in my personal life, like in people I'm close to, I do not like leading at all. But with kids, that's mothering. I'm a very maternal, mothering kind of person. So children need leadership. It's different. They need a leader. Adults don't need me leading them, and I don't want to. My daughter loves leading, so she leads me around with the business. So it's wonderful. Are your lives available as a podcast? No, the podcast is coming out. We're going to be releasing them. We've already got a bunch of them done. The podcast should be coming out on September 24th. So next Tuesday is when the first 3 episodes are going to be released. So we're very excited about that. Oh, and the lives are all saved on YouTube. If you go on YouTube, BratBusters Parenting, all my lives are there. Did you find the younger years more difficult? Teenagers are my favorite age. I found toddlers the most difficult by far. They were fine at home because I had the whole house childproof. But when I went out with them, you have to watch them like a hawk. There's nothing relaxing about going out with toddlers, unless you're going to someone else's house who also had toddlers and their house is childproofed. Other than that, yeah, toddlers is my least favorite age, just because it was a safety issue. I was always having to watch them. Teenagers are my favorite age. That's why I kind of specialize in teen crisis work. And yeah, I love it. Wanting to do the potty course. How do I know the difference between not being ready and being stubborn? Screams when we ask to potty. Well, it's a party. So they usually get on board. And there's no treats without sitting on the potty. And anyway, yeah, 2.5 years old. By that time, you want to do it anyway, even if you don't think they're ready. And it's a good way to start exercising some of your leadership skills because it's all fun-led. And, but yeah, if you're going to get that, it's a party, but not for you. It's a party for them. It's messy. Like I trained my son in 1 day. I was already kind of a leader anyway, so it was easier. But I trained my son in 1 day, my daughter in 2 days. No pull-ups, no night diapers, nothing. But we took a porta potty everywhere we went. My 7-year-old boy is constantly angry. He wakes up happy, but by brekkie, something has always made him and takes his anger out on everyone by yelling and calling us names. Been going on for 1 year plus. Brekkie is Australian. It's breakfast. I remember when I lived there, my first year there, my first Christmas. Is everyone having a nice brekkie on Chrissy in Brizzy? I lived in Brisbane. What the heck is brekkie on Chrissy and Brizzy? But anyway, I don't know what's going on with him. He wakes up. I think he's feeding off some energy in the house. I'm big on energy. I'm not woo-woo type person, but I really believe that someone else's energy can affect you. I try not to let that happen, but I'm susceptible to that, and I'm pretty in control of my own emotions. That's not true. I'm very emotional. But anyway, I'm pretty good at not letting other negative people bring me down. But I'm thinking that he's rebelling against something. So that's my gut reaction. I could be wrong. Anyway, if it's that bad and he's kind of red zone stuff, you might want to hire me for coaching and look that up. Otherwise, check out the boot camp course. It might be a good fit. Or if you just want something for free, just keep watching these lives or all my videos or the behavior board's completely free. Oh, and I just want to say again, I've almost hit 500,000 here on TikTok, Instagram. So you're catching up to TikTok now. I've been on Instagram now for a year. So I think maybe not quite a year. I'm not sure, but a year now. So I think I was on before, but I wasn't really posting. So, but I'm just very grateful. I just want to say, I don't take that for granted. And that's what keeps me coming on here. I feel I owe you something for your support. So that's why I do so many lives. I'm not on here every day like I used to be, but I'm on here probably 4 or 5 times a week doing lives. What if my child doesn't follow rules with babysitter? Well, I don't know how old the child is. Makes a difference. Oh, you asked about how to help a 4-year-old adjust to a new baby coming into the home. You can't. How can they possibly understand what's going to happen? Think about you. Could you really relate to having your first child? It's like that. This is their first sibling, the first time they've had to share their parents with someone. So I don't think you can prepare them for it. I think that you can just, there's a few things you can do, but they're not always going to work anyway. You can get the child their own little doll and, all that stuff. If they just decide they don't want that baby around, they might do something nasty to that baby. So keep an eye on that baby at all times. And, but yeah, there's not much you can do. How could they possibly understand what's going to happen? You'll see them in the hospital holding the newborn. Oh, I love you and that. And you think, oh my God, how wonderful. A week after you get home, they're pulling them out of the bassinet and throwing them on the floor. Like they just don't understand the implications of what's going to happen. It just takes time. It's an adjustment, transition time, right? Sometimes you can't make everything easy. I know there's a whole bunch of stuff out there, evidently. This is what people tell me. I don't look at what anyone else is teaching. I have no idea who else is out there because I'm very careful. I don't look at anybody else. I'm self-taught. So kids taught me all this stuff. But yeah, I know there's this school of thought that you can make things easy for your kids. Why would you want to do that? Life isn't easy. You want to protect your children from the hard stuff? I wanted my kids going through it. I remember once there was a teacher that none of the kids wanted at school. Like, none of the parents wanted their kids to get this teacher. I was glad when my kids got that teacher because I thought you're going to get a difficult boss one day too. It was just a teacher that shouldn't have been a teacher really. But anyway, so yeah, I didn't want to make everything. I made their home life wonderful. We laughed all the time. It was easy. But when they went out in the world, I wanted them to learn how to manage and get along with difficult stuff. I never tried to protect them from stuff, except safety stuff. But you know what I mean. Okay, I'm going to move over to TikTok now. So I go, and I'm on YouTube the whole time. So if you go to the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses. I have 2 of them now, toddler and older kid, and you can look into coaching. I went through my whole wait list over the weekend. What happens is I sent out a bunch of invoices, and over the weekend, people didn't always get to it. So they were canceled out. So I managed to, those people are going to come back at me now probably and say, I can't pay now because it canceled out. But now I can't get them anyway. They only have 48 hours to pay. So, but it was quite funny. I thought, should I just cancel all these invoices and get through my whole list and send out a bunch of different ones? So I did that. So that's why I went through my whole wait list this weekend. First time in a long time. Anyway, I'm going to go over to TikTok now. If you want to join me over there, it's BratBusters Parenting. If not, happy parenting. Take care.
Coca-Cola just became besties.
I just found out recently, I'm talking of YouTube. I just found out recently that people are making big money on TikTok. I don't make a cent. TikTok doesn't like Canada. There's a few things that evidently China has a bad relationship with Canada. So yeah, I would have made, I calculated it would have made a lot of money in the last 2 years if they paid Canada. They don't. That's okay. I didn't realize other people were making tons of money on TikTok. I didn't know that. I had no idea. Am I bitter? Whatever. Okay, I am a little. Okay, welcome to the live. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. You go on the link above. You can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course. I have 2 of them now, toddler and older kids, or you can look into coaching. So I'm just looking at your YouTube questions here. Teen crisis. Yeah. I did start my business. I specialized in teen crisis work, and I used to do a lot of TV and radio, just as the parenting expert. Especially if some kid does something awful, they'd invite me on to discuss it and how to prevent it, whatever. And I remember once I was doing the 6 o'clock news right at the very head of this. It was the very first story because it was something awful had happened to a teenager. So they introduced me as the crisis queen. And I remember I thought, I don't really want to be that. I remember, they didn't know. And, but I thought, no, I want to prevent the crisis. So I still do crisis work, but I focus more on prevention. So, but yeah, I remember that. I thought, oh, geez, I don't want to be that. I want to be more positive. Okay. Your tips have helped me so much as a single mom. Thank you for your content. Oh, I'm very glad. I was a single mom. I went through the teen years. You know, the hardest part being a single mom on your own with a teenager and a younger one was when I had to go pick my son up when he was out partying, and I had to wake up his younger sister in the middle of the night to go and pick him up. That was brutal. I remember that. That was the only part that I didn't like about being a single mom was But, I wanted him to have fun. I didn't want to take that away from him just because I'm a single mom, right? So, but I didn't want to leave her home alone. She was only 5 years younger. He might have been 17 or something. But I still didn't want to leave her at home alone. So I'd wake her up in the middle of the night to go and pick him up. That was brutal. It was really brutal. Okay. Oh, God, such a good question. And I'm really glad you asked this. Did you ever feel like playing with them too much makes them not take you serious at times? Not for 1 second. My mom used to ask me this because I was nuts with my kids. I really was. And she said, "How do you do it?" And I said, "What?" And she goes, "You're running around chasing your kids with underpants on your head, but they respect the heck out of you." And I said, "Because they know if they were to give me one speck of disrespect in any way, those underpants would have come off right away, like that. I'm mom before I'm anything." As much as I played hard with my kids, they knew if they were, and they just would, because they liked having fun. They liked that we had such a happy house. They loved that. Why would they ruin that? Because they knew they would have. They knew I wouldn't put up with anything. So that's how. Yeah, they knew those underpants would have gone, "Excuse me? Sorry, Mom. Sorry. Okay, we'll do it again tomorrow." That would have been it. They would have hated it. So yeah. I think that was my superpower with kids. I know people used to ask me that. They said, "How do you get such respect with kids?" And I said, "Well, my secret is I'm fun with little kids. I play a lot, and with teenagers, I'm funny. So I use humor. So yeah, fun. I use joy. I use connection. I use fun. But yeah. But if they act out or are disrespectful, I get real quiet real fast. My son used to say, "If my mom ever whispers, run." That's when I'd say, "Oh, didn't like that." So that's when I got real quiet. Is when they were naughty. My kids weren't, but if I was working with other kids. So weird we look so much alike. Have you said that before? I can't see your picture. It's too tiny, and I don't want to click on it because I don't know what I'm doing on here. But there is someone who looks a lot like me. Was that you before that said we look so much alike? Well, I'm adopted, so we could be related. I remember this is kind of a weird story, but oh, did I introduce myself on here? I don't even know if I did. I'm really sleepy tonight. I've had hay fever today. Anyway, I'll do it again anyway. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. If you go on the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses. I've got 2 of them now, toddlers and older kids, and you can look into coaching. I think I've already done that, but I can't remember. Okay. Anyway, years and years ago, I used to go clubbing when I was young, like 100 years ago. And people kept coming up to me and they'd call me a different name. And then I'd say, "No, that's not me. I'm so-and-so." And they said, "That's weird," because she said that other people were going up to her saying, "Turns out I had this doppelganger, but she was a few years younger. Now I'm adopted. She could easily have been a younger sister or cousin or so. I don't know." Anyway, and I saw her one day. She was evidently identical. We have huge hair and light green eyes, very distinguishable, the 2 things. And so I saw her one day. She was on the freeway and we saw each other driving. We're side by side and she was taking an off ramp and I couldn't get to her. So I never met her. We just looked at each other like, we pointed at each other. We were identical. It was bizarre. So I never saw her again. I was kind of growing out of the night clubbing scene. So I didn't do much. Anyway, it's funny. Okay. Can I ask what age you let your child have a phone? I would say about 13, 14, when they hit high school, basically grade 8, grade 9, around there. I know some people say, "Oh, he's 10, he's having a tantrum because all his friends have a phone." I'm like, whoopee, who cares? Like, you're not getting a phone at 10 years old. So yeah, that's just my own personal view. But it's kind of a gray area because there is no specific age. That's like saying, what age is it okay for them to start becoming sexually active? Well, I can't answer that. There is no, like, this is the age they do this is the age they do that. So it's kind of like that. But yeah, I would say around grade 8, grade 9. How do I parent myself out of my kid? What the heck does that mean? How do I parent myself out of my kid? I don't know what that means. Sometimes I coach people all over the world. So sometimes there's a communication challenge. And what was it? Oh, it was something. Oh, I won't remember it. I just know I won't. But it was really funny. It was something that we looked at each other. What? They didn't realize it was quite rude in English, but okay. I'm hoping by learning and getting some leadership in place now, I can avoid a lot of that with my baby, who's 15 months old now. Yeah, 16. I call 16 months a toddler. Yeah, just keep watching. You could learn. I've got a toddler course if you're interested too. But yeah, you can't use the behavior board yet. But yeah, it's yeah. I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Okay, my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2, set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3, when you want to connect with a toddler, you do so in their world. You don't go to the nail salon with them. You go to the park and roll down the hill with them. They just start to look at you differently because play is their love language. They're more likely to listen to you when you get connected with play. Anyway, number 4 is discipline your toddlers in their world. It's not about words. They're about actions. You use consistent corrective actions, but you got to do it every single time. They're not going to learn the first 10 times. Maybe the 50th time they might learn, but you got to be consistent. They remember when you mess up. They just do. All these words discussing all their big feelings and big emotions is absolute garbage. That was invented to make the mom feel good about herself. I know it's trendy, but it's garbage. Trust me. They're not about words. They're about actions. Number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings, and they're just forming. Imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years, and the first year you're a potato laying on a mattress. Like they're just brand new. They might even go like this and smear poop on the wall. Go figure that one out. I evidently did that. I was a baby in the crib, and my mom went in the nursery, saw the mess, and I don't know, I was like 6, 8 months old or something. No, I don't remember it. Anyway, and my mom evidently said, "Oh no." And my dad came running in thinking it was something awful. And he just started laughing. He grew up on a farm and he goes, "Oh, go ahead, I'll clean it up." He says, "It's no worse than an old cow barn." Oh God. How gross. My kids never did it. I lucked out. Lots of kids do. I did it. I don't do it now, but I did do it. I wish they'd taken a picture. Nowadays, people would take pictures of that. Back then, they only took pictures of posed and we're all smiling. You know, they weren't taking that. I was born in 1960, so it's funny. How do I manage? You got an age gap, 2 kids, 7-year age gap. You know what's interesting is, there was like 16 years between my brother and I. So I grew up with 3 adults. He was not fighting me for my Barbie dolls. You know what I mean? Like we didn't grow up as siblings really. They say that after 7 years, they don't grow up as siblings. They grow up separate. They don't see, it's just different. So they kind of grow up as only children. So yeah, and you don't want them to be friends. You don't try and force them at that age, 2 kids, 7-year age gap. You can't force any kids to be friends, but you want to make the older kids like a hero. That's what you can do. Set them up to sort of help out like a hero, not a leader. You're the leader. But yeah, it was interesting. They say after 7 years, they don't grow up as siblings. They grow up as only children. And totally makes sense. I get it. There's no way my brother and I were fighting over Barbies or anything, yeah. I followed your tips today and they helped. Thank you. What tips? Which ones did you use? Ignoring tantrums? That's a common one. I'm curious. Yeah, younger one is trying to copy elder one and everything. That's right. Is that your point with the 7-year split? Let me see if that's the same person. Yes, it is. How do I manage to? Oh, they're only 2. They don't have reasoning yet. Yeah, not much you can do. Sorry, I'm going to look at YouTube. I keep telling people the best place to watch me is on YouTube because that's like a really tiny platform. I only have about 15,000 in there, whereas I've got like 1.5 million everywhere else. I never look at YouTube. Go on YouTube. I'll see all your questions, and I keep forgetting to look at it. Yeah, don't listen to me. I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay. Just looking at the YouTube questions. Oh, interesting. What can I do about my 8-year-old daughter who wakes up on school days screaming? It's not for long. She's just not a morning person. Do I just ignore it? I would tell her, look, you can scream all you want. I never try and stop kids from doing stuff. Like what I mean is attitude stuff. I just say, you can scream all you want, but I'll tell you what, from now on, do it into a pillow. See how that goes. Like just act like, no, it's not bothering you. Just do it into a pillow. But yeah, some people wake up on the wrong side. I'm a sickening morning person, cheery as anything. First 5 in the morning, I'm up wide awake. I'm not good at night. Like I'm starting to fade even now. It's only 8 o'clock. I'm not good at night at all. So she's just not a morning person. But yeah, tell her to just give it a go. See if she'll scream into a pillow. What age do you start consequences? 3. 3 is when they have the ability to stop and think before they act. It doesn't mean they will, but they have the ability to learn to stop and think before they act. They have impulse control, that frontal lobe thing, you know. And I always think of it like that tons, like that thing at the back of your throat, like a little punching bag, because that frontal lobe, I always think of it as this little dangly bit. I don't know what it looks like, but that's when they start to learn they can actually have impulse control. That's the reasoning. They can actually reason things through. Doesn't mean they will, but you're going to teach them how to do that. My 2-year-old tells everyone to go away. How do I correct that? Just pretend that you have cotton in your ears and you didn't hear it. I wouldn't give it any attention at all. They're just testing it. Oh, the tantrum tips. Okay. Yeah. Tantrums, you know, everyone wants to avoid the storm, and I'll often be hired. You know, we don't want to have to go through any storms, Lisa. And I say, well, then you want your money back, because that's a big part of this. That is, the storms are the lessons. Behind every scene, meltdown, fit, and tantrum is a lesson, so long as you ignore it. And I haven't mentioned this in a while, but I often used to talk about that 8-year-old kid that I was going to work with. I'd heard about him. He was evidently a real handful. And when I met him, it was the first time I was ever going to work. I used to mentor kids volunteering. And first time I ever met him, he said to me, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to have a fit. And he said it with that filthy face. And I said, bring it on. Just like that. And he never did. He thought, oh, she knows what she's doing. So yeah, they're going to test you. I can't find your behavior board. No, there isn't a printout. I don't think so. I don't know what it looks like. Anyway, it's just instructions on how to do it. You want to put that up on a big bulletin board, on a big poster board. You know those things that you get 50 cents each at the dollar store? And it's just a big cardboard. And you're going to have 3 of them eventually. You do 3 of them, 1 each week for 3 weeks. And then that's just the behavior board. It's the training wheels with all this stuff. If you want more information, what to do after the behavior board, like I would never use a behavior board. It's a teaching tool. So if you want the course, that teaches you what to do in week 4 after that. But yeah, like I would never use a behavior board, because I want those kids looking right at me. There's no way I would want to give any weight to anything else. But it's a teaching tool. It takes some of the pressure off you, and it just gets you more organized. And yeah, you know, I've been teaching this now, my business, for 17 years. And for the first year, I didn't have a behavior board because I've never used one. And, you know, it's one thing to know what you're doing, but it's another to know how to teach it. And then after a year of coaching, I was doing okay, but they really weren't understanding that parents have to be accountable too. Then I invented the behavior board and put the parents on it too. Changed everything. Evidently, rumor has it that other coaches are out there following my stuff and doing it now. And that, you know what? All the best. The more people out there teaching this, the better. But I'm the only one that, like, I invented all that. So but it's quite funny. People have told me, oh, I saw someone else talking about your stuff and claiming it's theirs. That's okay. That's okay. I just want this stuff spread. How do you report bad behavior to parents? I don't know what you mean. Who are you? I don't know what you mean. Okay. When another parent comes up and tells you something about your child, I need more information. I don't know what that means. Like it could be a million different things. Oh, out of curiosity, what age did you stop waking your kids up and had an alarm clock do it? I'm wondering if she has an alarm clock, if that would help. Yeah, there's all sorts of alarm clocks out there that are just so cute. One of them, a client showed me, I don't know what country they were in, but they had like a little duck. It was like a cuckoo clock, but it was really cute actually. And the duck kept peeking out and, quack, quack. And then eventually it would come out and start quacking away. There's some really cute clocks out there. I don't remember ever really waking my kids up. They kind of were early risers. And I was always up first. So I think they'd kind of hear me making tea in the kitchen, like the house was up and running. So they would kind of just get up on their own. But yeah, lots of my clients use clocks. Both my kids are kind of more morning people. So. Oh, I asked a few weeks ago about going on a flight with a 2-year-old. Your advice worked. Thank you. I can't imagine what advice I would have because I always say give them whatever they want when you're on a plane. There's no way I would put a plane through anything. So, and they know that that's only on the plane. They figured that out pretty quick because as soon as you're back in the airport, you don't give them anything they want that they're being ridiculous about. You know what I mean? But yeah, on a plane, you do not. That's not a time to exercise your leadership at all. Whatever you want. There's no way I would put a plane full of people through misery with a kid. No way. So the worst we ever traveled with kids was my son was 18 months old and 18 months, 24-hour flight from Australia to Canada, 24-hour trip. I think it was a couple different flights, but 24-hour trip. He never slept for 24 hours. He was 18 months old. Yeah. He didn't cry, but he got everything he wanted. And then by the time we saw my family in Canada, his eyeballs were spinning. Then he passed out for ages. Yeah, I gave him whatever he wanted. What to do instead of timeouts. Everything else I talk about. That's all I talk about here. By the way, we talk a lot about discipline, but that's not what I teach. I teach connection and having fun with your kids. And because, I want you to raise nice kids, but that's secondary. My number one goal as a parenting coach is that you enjoy parenting. And you're not going to enjoy it if your kids are acting out. But I want you to have as much fun as I did. It was a blast. I miss it. I wallowed in parenting. It was the most fun I ever had. A few weeks ago, I said to my daughter, were you guys aware of how much I wallowed in parent? I couldn't even finish the sentence. And she goes, yeah, I wallowed in it. So that's what I teach. I want you to have fun. I want you to enjoy parenting like I did. It shouldn't be work. Getting respect is hard work, but once you're there, you can just sail along and just enjoy. Okay, maintaining respect is easy. Getting it is hard work. But after, once you've got it, then it's just fun. How do you parent a 15-year-old who has different set of parents in a split household that parent different? Well, they understand there's different rules at school. There's different rules at the football coach has. There's different rules at your house. They can understand that. Just focus on yourself and your leadership. And that would be coaching. If you want my help with that, to set you up with that would be coaching. It's always best if I can get both households. Sometimes people will hire me and they'll share sessions. Yeah, that's usually how it's done. But if you're not getting along with your ex, then we just work on you. That's it. Oops, I got to get going. I am so tired. I've had hay fever today. I got itchy eyes. I get dry eyes. Well, you probably don't. You're probably younger. But as you get older, everything starts falling apart. So my eyes are all dry. I should probably get that stuff for dry eye. Anyway, let me see. Biggest tip for enjoying parenting: get all that pesky discipline sorted out and the mutual respect sorted out by the time they're 3.5. And you can sail right through like I did, right through the teen years. So you got to work that, right? Do you miss Australia? Yeah. I never left because I wanted to. I left because my mother was elderly and ill. She was in her 80s. And a few years after I arrived here, she died in my arms. It was beautiful. So I have no regrets about leaving. But I never left Australia because I wanted to. I was fully Australianized because I had no North American friends at all. I was married to an Australian. My kids were Australian. All my friends were Australian or Pommies or Kiwis. And, but yeah, I had no I had no connection there with Canadians or North Americans. But anyway, yeah, I love Canada too, though. Like two great countries. So, and I have dual citizenship, so I feel very lucky. I'm not one to have regrets in life. I think looking back, there's a lot of things I do differently, but you can't change it, right? So, anyway, okay, I got to get going. Thanks so much for joining me. Check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses. I have 2 of them now, or you can look into coaching. I usually have a wait list, but I got through it all over the weekend. So this might be one now, but yeah, so I got through it all. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me, and I'll be back again hopefully tomorrow. Bye now.